Okay, so our first question, is it possible to get the journal article cited about best practice interventions?
So they are in it's a Feral 2014 report.
Can you just say that again? Sorry. Sorry.
Would it be possible to get the journal article cited about best practice interventions?
So any resources that I referred to in the presentation are listed at the end of the presentation, but also in a Word document that is on that will be on our website. So once this webinar has been edited, it will be put up on our website and the references will be there. If you can't wait that long, please email me at info@deafblindinformation.org.au with your question or request for specific references, and I can either email you the whole reference document or the reference that you're after.
Okay, the next question, is there a resource available that outlines examples of touch cues, for example, double tap on hip bones for nappy changes?
Not really. So because we're often talking about quite unique individuals, we often start from scratch about, you know, where the person has kind of sensitivity for those things, how their nappy chain routine proceeds, where they can tolerate touch on their body, where potentially they could reach on their body. So if they were going to imitate those cues, but they couldn't reach a certain part of their body, then we might modify. So each case is unique. Having said that, there are some resources that particular places have developed that might outline some of the signs that they use, say in a classroom. But the general approach is these need to be individual, and you know, the deafblind team can help you think through those solutions and come up with that person's unique system. Actually, just having another thought on that. I can't recall the resources off the top of my head, but there's a Scottish resource, Lee McWilliams, something like that. So I guess if you're looking for ideas and inspiration, I would maybe use something like that to guide you, but I would think about each example and how it applies to the individual that you want to use it with, not just take it as a formula that you apply to everyone. Again, if you want some of those resources, please email me and I'll pull up a list. It's just, I guess I see so many, I can't remember the specific names and authors.
Okay, now we've got Carol who would like to sign her question. So I'm just going to spotlight her so everyone can see.
Oh, okay. All right. So the PowerPoint and everything, I read through it and that was really fantastic. It gave me a good idea. So I'm quite excited to share that and read through it. If there's, and I can look at that later possibly if I don't have much time. Yeah, so that was a really great resource. So I'll definitely keep hold of that and look through it. I think there's some good information on deafblindness. It's good to keep a record as well of that information. So, and possibly things we can add to it as well would be great. So yeah, I'd love to get a copy of that and put in my notes.
Yeah, okay. So if you would like the slides in particular, you could email me and I could send you a copy of the slides. But the webinar,
Yes, please. I will do that. Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
yeah, but the webinar will be put up on our website under the congenital deafblind section.
So there was that, sorry, so you're, sorry, I'm just wanting to clarify the email address as well for that. Sorry, I've just got a cough. Sorry, what was your email address, just so I can remember?
Okay. Yep. So it's info@deafblindinformation.org.au.
Perfect. Excellent. That's easy to remember. Thank you very much. I will email you.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So
Thank you.
you can view again. Yep. Thanks, Carol.
Okay, another question. This was very profound to me. Routine should be used as an aid and not a substitute for communication and interaction. Can you explain more?
Thought that might spark a bit of controversy. So I'm definitely valuing the use of routines, particularly I said, because they're a great memory aid and they're a real source of someone to orient to the place that they're in, to the people that we're with, to the time of day. Sometimes I see that as, well, that's all that person needs. We've got their routine, so they can just be, we can just guide them through that routine, but there's no conversation, there's no turn taking, there's no back and forth interaction, there's no commenting on the things that might be different about the routine on that day. So sometimes I just feel like the routine is relied on too much at the expense of interaction and communication. It's like, well, they know what's happening, they understand what's happening, so there's no need to communicate about it or provide any language around that experience. So that's really, I guess, the point I was trying to make there.
Okay. We've had a couple of other people ask for resources for Tactile Auslan, different touch cues.
I believe there was one that was in development about like a Tactile Auslan kind of dictionary for use for people with congenital deaf blindness. But again, people's ability to move, to receive on different parts of their body, the control that they have of their hands, the kinds of concepts that you need to communicate to them, they're going to be different each time. So if you use a dictionary or a standardized dictionary, you need to check each sign's appropriateness for the individual. But I know this resource was in development, but I never heard where it got to. And I'm going to refer to some of the people in the audience because I think they might know that the source of this resource better than I. And we'll just wait to see if anything comes up in chat there about that. It's certainly, I think people around the world have attempted those sort of things. Just need to be mindful about how you use them.
Move on to another question and then come back to that if we get that through. Okay, so we have a deaf-blind currently communicating through sign language student with progressive neuropathy causing gradually declining touch sensitivity. Feel that this will interfere on his ability to learn tactile sign language or Braille. Do you have any other suggestions for communicating with this student?
Do send me some tricky ones. I would suggest you keep pursuing those avenues until you're certain they don't make sense anymore. And I would be engaging an occupational therapist to help you try and understand how that person is perceiving those that input. And maybe I would be thinking about making some of those signs or movements bigger, so that the person is perceiving the movement, not just the touch that they're getting. So when you're perceiving tactile signs, you've got the hand shape, which is quite a detailed kind of perception. You're feeling the space where that sign is located. So is it up high? Is it down low? Is it in front of me? Is it to the side of me? Is it two hands? Is it one hand? So you're perceiving that through touch. And that's probably something that you could be retained. So that large movement and play and sense of space around the person. And also how big the movements are. So if you're doing sort of more, which is potentially a smallish movement, then maybe you exaggerate that movement a little bit, or start to exaggerate it. So there's a little bit more input and a little bit more time to process that sign. Apart from that, I don't have any ideas off the top of my head, but I do have an OT sitting right next to me, and I'm wondering if she has anything else to add.
Yeah, my suggestions would be very similar, working out what the rest of the body is perceiving when the person is experiencing that sign. If they could somehow experience the sign as more of a movement than as a touch, that's probably more likely to be retained as the condition progresses than that feeling of touch on the skin. So just be lots of assessment and lots of observation over time. And so we had about the tactile sign question. There's an app called Adapting Signs that can be used for documenting signs as you establish them. And then if possible, try to relate them to Auslan as much as you can, so they're more likely to be understood by people who use standardized Auslan, enabling better communication in the community.
So that Adapting Signs app is a lovely little resource that you can download onto a tablet, and you can record your own videos of the person who's developing sign and has their own sort of unique communication methods. You can record in and make that person's own dictionary. That app is released by NextSense, who some of you might know as RIDBC, the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children, who've just changed their name and rebranded to NextSense. So those apps are on their website.
Sorry, can you just say that again, Melanie? Sorry, I just missed that. The acronym and then the name again.
The name of the app, it's Adapting Signs, and it's released by NextSense, which was recently, or until recently, known as the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children. They've just renamed and rebranded. The app is you can get information about the app on their website, and it's also available on the App Store and Google Play. I'm pretty sure it's both platforms. But that really just provides you an avenue to record and document an individual's communication. It doesn't really guide you about what that's going to be. So if you're looking for ideas and a pre-existing dictionary, if you find something, I would always try and consult someone with expertise in deaf blindness about your choices there. Yep. Okay, well, we have hit the 1 hour mark. So thank you everyone for your questions. I'll let you know about some training that's coming up that's run by myself and our project manager, Meredith Prain, in conjunction with Deafblind International. It's a webinar for families, although if we don't fill all the spots with families, it will be opened up to professionals and people in a deafblind work role. And it's about developing social interaction and early communication skills with for people with congenital deafblindness. The details of that should be released on our Facebook page, and the details will also go up into the news section on our website very shortly. That's being run on the 27th of April. Can't remember the exact time, it's different around the country. I think it's about 11 a.m. Perth time, around about then. It'll be the afternoon in the eastern states, but it's open to the Asia Pacific area. So I will finish up there. Thank you to our interpreters and our captioners, and thank you all for coming. We look forward to seeing you hopefully in future webinars.